It's good to see that they all have fun though, right? After some time. Next we must discuss the classification number. We have been assigned risk levels for distortions, just as we have for abnormalities. The observation log you have wrote or rather written for us were of great help, of course. My researchers struggled to pass the handwriting for certain sinners, however, but it was good data all the same. We once had a 3-hour debate over a letter. Even that bloody governess gave up on trying to fix my handwriting. Heathcliff grinned proudly and whipped the side of his nose. As you must all be well aware, the current system for classification numbers have a rather significant oversight. Because abnormalities were created from the former L Corp department, our classification system had to be lifted whole from their system. However, the criteria from which the former L Corp measured the risk level was the amount of their energy production, or rather produced. As a correlation of sorts, it was often the case that the more aggressive abnormalities produced more energy, but their destructive capabilities were not part of the criteria, despite the correlations. That is why certain abnormalities were assigned relatively low risk level, despite the potential to kill even multiple high-ranked employees, like those instantly killing abnormalities like the teddy bear, the guillotine samurai clothes, and let me think, the spider, the red eyes as well. The red eyes also have the ability to kill, just as the woodsman. There were so many instant kill guys, it's crazy. Well, they were an energy company at the end of the day. It makes sense that their priorities would be to measure the energy output out of all the things, right? However, here, both abnormalities and distortion must be suppressed via direct confrontation. Thus, the former LCOP classification system is rather in current with our purpose. I once heard someone say that we should be wary of people who drone on and on in the intro. Thus, it became necessary for us to reorganize the distortion risk level and classification codes. Wow, interesting. So whose job is that going to be? I am rather taken aback by the naivety of which you asked me that question. It's us, isn't it? Sinners without the right of refuse, was it? Now we have to give them new names? Wait a second, aren't you just offloading your own work to us now? A privilege given to researchers. Oi, don't be so ignorant, yeah? This is all just in order to research the distortion, right? We gotta the other way around, assistant. We gotta do research into distortion in order to solve them better. The elementary shit, right? Uh-huh. Hohenheim really got you wrapped around his finger. You know that, right? Well, according to the LCD on-site investigation research team leader, the progress of distortion is much like that of a disease. The fate of an abnormality awaits at the end of the distortion phenomenon after all. When a distortion progresses into the abnormality, all pre-existence individuality is completely erased, replaced with the duality of any abnormality. Thus, it is impossible to bring back a distortion that has already transformed into a full abnormality. It will no longer have the reversibility that they once had in the distortional phase. So a distortion like the Time Ripper fella will eventually become a full abnormality too, if left untouched, and all the people who were integrated into that being as well. If you're referring to subject HE7P121, then yes. This is simply a prediction, of course, because that particular subject isn't contained here. I cannot say with absolute certainty that its process into an abnormality will be observed. A correct assessment. Oh, didn't Limbus Company collect the Time Ripper? We hoped we would, but T-Corp was very demanding about their claim over the entity, to the point where they refused to even sit at a negotiation table. I found their time-ripping ability quite fascinating, but sometimes I must know when to cut my losses, I suppose. Wait, So that something is the new classification code? Indeed, because it is difficult to identify and observe the origin and the shape of a distortion, we decided to forgo that information and instead replace them with their sin affinity and the expected damage scale. Sin affinity P. Pilgritter. Slot. Okay, with P I would have almost said pride, but no. Oh, please don't tell me I need to remember those names! There's no way! It's Latin! Okay, it appears that the classification now mimics the classification of the Pecatulas. They do indeed follow the same thought process. If we're being technical here, I wouldn't say it mimics it. It would be more accurate to say, as the Pecatulas are at once the origin of the distortion phenomenon, and kind of its byproduct, the affinity can be transferred on to on. And what is that expected damage scale? Combat capability, I guess? I remember they said the risk level were determined based on the inferior production, which is not the most meaningful information to us, who have to fight them directly. It was a tad inconvenient to put enable ideas like combat capability into a singular, numerical scale of power. Certain entities have idiosyncrasies and variables that may make such a linear measure quite meaningless. So instead, we decided to measure the expected amount of damage that Limbus company personnel might suffer should they engage with these entities in battle. While this time ripper poses very little threat against the sinner due to your idiosyncrasy, the unique nature of their weapon means that they can immediately deal a nigh-fatal blow to anyone from the LCC department with a singular strike. This is why this distortion was given a rather high expected damage scale of 6, from a scale of 1 to 10. Please do note that this is not a perfect system, and these values are there only as reference. Will the standard be applied to abnormalities as well? We have plans to do so, yes. Risk levels and expected damage scales will be coming before their classification codes. Speaking of which, I have something to show you all. What is it? What else other than the monolith? One with the highest potential value among Limbus company's businesses. Thus, the development of transportation, management, and processing methodologies of this monolith is a glowing achievement indeed. Oh, the artifact by which the very nature poses a great danger. I hesitate to embrace its use willingly. Oh, a great danger. But wouldn't you say that we are bested by danger at all times? The arbitrariness in deciding how dangerous something is comes from the degree to which it poses a risk. As you must already know, the monolith here is a device that can force a distortion. It is scattered throughout the city, just like the Golden Morrow, at first only in possession of the fingers and the syndicates of the back streets, to now being collected by companies both large and small, and nameless like a plague. We also learned that they have become rather high priority targets to some wings out there because they've noticed their use. As luck would have it, we managed to combine our research, expedition, and collection of the monoliths much earlier than the others. Now we've already at a stage in which we may partake in the processing and the sales of these artifacts, expanding our business ventures. You could say that we narrowly avoided the very unsavory fate of having to tussle with the wings for the possession of these artifacts, because we may have had to confront the wings directly, were that the case. Which is a bad idea. They are rather powerful, every single one of them, even the declining ones. Asking out of pure curiosity here, but what exactly would happen if we were to ever be assigned a city's threat level? You see, how about we don't ask questions we don't even want to find out the answer to? I mean, I could tell you, you will be hunted by fixers, just so you know. I mean, what if we, due to some contractual shenanigans, end up going against the association? I think it would be a good idea to know ahead of time. You know, just in case. Well, seems like a question worth entertaining to me. Let's see. From Kana to start at a city, I suppose the assignment will be somewhere between urban plague or maybe urban nightmares. Oh, not a star of the city yet, are we? It almost sounds as if you wanted to be given a threat level, huh? I mean, I've been working really hard in a different game for it. But it is true that you, upon first sight, due to your revival power and the potential of the identity technology, may appear to pose a rather troublesome risk. However, you have a very clear and obvious weakness. Indeed, all of our adventures will be moot upon the manager's death. Hohenheim slowly turned around to look at me, prompting Faust and the other sinner to follow suit. What if we protect them though? I'm impressed by your optimism, given the kind of enemy you're facing thus far. We don't even need to go so far back in time to discuss the incident with the fixer Siegfried, or the big brother Ricardo that I read from your reports. Should the third sinner suddenly seek to attack the manager with her full might, do you truly believe that the rest of you could possibly protect them? No. The flow of this world is that the manager will be preserved, and that no such thing may come to pass. That's enough, Hohenheim. Any further divulsion, and Faust will open a disciplinary commitment to discuss the consequences of your careless words. I think you're about to spoil something really important. What do you mean with the flow of the world? Well, not there yet, are we? Very well. Whichever's the case, you do have the potential to become a star of the city, Fred, at some time in the future. But do remember that it would be best if you could avoid that unfortunate designation. And please, don't forget that it is only true as long as you have Limbus Company's backing. Is there a chance for us to lose that backing? I mean, there's always a potential that we have to, fight back at some point. But I would kind of love to avoid that. Just saying. Alright, the final checkup. I need to get my Ryosha ready again. There you go. Everyone is ready. Perfect to go. Yes, I'm still under-leveled, but it is fine. It is A-okay. Especially in a dungeon, right? Alright then, we're almost done with the regular checkup. Finally, we have a chance for you to overcome an adversary based on what you have learned thus far. And for me to prove my hypothesis. Your hypothesis? What is he talking about? No need to worry. My hypothesis has never been wrong. At least, most of the time. This experiment is entirely of my own design and supervision. And I will faithfully follow my own pure curiosity and instinct as a researcher. Guys, I have a feeling we're not going to like where this is going. Now, do you see this monolith here? Yeah, that's the monolith, right? But, don't you worry. My researchers will be the one to activate the artifact. Wait, you're going to activate it? Oh, not on you! Relax. I understand that none of you would be willing to participate in this experiment. I swear, if you're going to force us to distort, saying that we have no right to refuse something like that, I'm gonna... Hey, hang on. I can't let you do that. Even as your assistant, that is reckless beyond belief. Yes, but if you must, we are willing to send the weakest sinner amongst us for... You will not sacrifice the insane for that! What? Otis, come on! Forget I said that. That was foolish of me to say. I will be the subject of the experiment myself. Wait, you are going to distort yourself? Am I hearing this right? And you're curious to see what kind of distortion you would end up becoming. I'm sure this is a question you have all entertained at least once. No, I ain't curious. And it ain't a very pleasant experience either. He was literally forcefully turned into a dog. Aw, come on. Stop gritting your teeth like that, assistant. It will have an adverse effect on your long-term dental health. What if you just end up turning into a Picatulum instead? There's no coming back from that. You could end up becoming a Picatulum. Just another one of those Fathers we've slaughtered on our through for the test earlier. Are you really willing to risk that? It is indeed a possibility. It would signify nothing more than my own limitation. Just a medical shell. If such an incident comes to pass, these employees will transport me to a containment unit. We even made a bet on what kind of Picatulum I would turn into. Pride, 100%. There's no way you couldn't be Pride, right? I bet on Guale, I on Invidae, and her on Pikitriae. Please don't tell me I have to... That's Slot, right? Slot? That has to be Pride. Somebody has to pick Pride. But how could you... Thinking about it like this, if I were to become a Picatula, it would be akin to losing at a game of chance. Of course, what counts as a loss may depend on what I, at that precise time, consider to be losing. But the mere fact of turning into a Picatulum reaves me out of any value to life. I'd say he was being too hard on himself, but that felt like too simple an expression to describe his tone. The company would likely attempt to transport me to a containment unit, but I disagree with that decision. I would like to ask you to dispose of me on the spot. I'm well aware that I'm not the kind of conscious person who earns other favor at the first meeting. If at all, I also don't believe that our brief relationship has been the most amicable kind. Therefore, I see little reason why you would hesitate to cut me down. Of course, sinners with gentle hearts like your young Sinclair here may express a certain disdain against my decision. But once I become a Picatulum, it may as well mean that Hohenheim, the entity itself, has ceased to be. So I hope no unnecessary emotion like guilt clouds your judgment in killing the Picatulum. You know, just a mere byproduct. But what if something unexpected happened? We're talking about your life here. Don't you have any manual with backup plans or anything? This is a very simple matter. Nothing more than a coin flip. Head or tail. It appears that you are still insisting on your absurd 50-50 theory. I am a researcher who wishes to humiliate the field of mathematical statistic, unlike the general layer of the academia. I believe that there's a certain romanticism to research. It is much more exciting to run as many tests and gain as many samples as we can get than to be stuck behind a desk, poring day and night over books and paper, isn't it? If it's stale, you may dispose of me immediately, and the employee here will take care of the rest. Don't forget to destroy the key inside of that code pocket and the files inside of my cabinet. For example. Yes, we remember. If I were to successfully distort it, we would be halfway to success. For the first time, I'm feeling quite the envy for you all. I wish I could be a witness to my very own distortion. If you have been paying attention to my lectures, perhaps you could even come up with a classification code for my distortion too, going by the standards that we have discussed earlier. Not that I have very high expectations that you would. I've recently come to realize that people nodding along to my words is not a significant of comprehension, but instead of an expression of society's niceness. They at least attempt to hear me out, even if they can't fully understand them. Like this guy. Then the manager here will open the entrance to my dungeon, my Fathom. And you will proceed through the mirror dungeon, as you have always done, with facing a distortion, to reach into its deepest fathom, to face my distortion once again. I wish you the best of luck in your suppression efforts. Exorsection. And once you've made it that far, it's likely that you will find me unconscious, or, if luck would have it, conscious. Unconscious? Are you sure this is going to be safe? A degree of case-by-case variance to be expected. It may take some time to fully recover, but it will happen, should you succeed. Oh, that reminds me, that is how Bamboo-Headed Kim was brought back as well. Oh, Bamboo-Headed Kim! Has he recovered? Can we talk? He is safely contained within our facility. Well then, it seems that they've already are ready to activate the monolith. I am confident that I, even as a distortion, will be quite the exceptional specimen. Hang on! Just like that? You're not a Picardulum at least.
Indeed, and I can still hear them. Yes, I remember. I still do.
It's glitchy. It's extremely glitchy. I know he'll be back, but gosh, this is pretty unnerving. Don't worry, we will bring him back, no matter what. The manager says that we will bring him back, no matter what. Sure, sounds like he's a bendable sort, this manager of yours. Very well then, please take a look at this. Is this a note? Did he write us tips on how to do this or something? How is he going to be able to write us tips if he has never experienced it himself? He says that all you have to do is read what's on that note in front of his distortion. Apparently, it is some kind of code. I don't think he will hear anything but ticking noises from me. Can you read this, Massault? It will be done as you commanded. Massault nodded, then began to read the words from the note aloud. Lobotomy Corporation. 5 minutes. Potentiality. Anticipation. Right hand. What? The moment Massault uttered them, the all-too-familiar portal began to appear around Hohenheim's distortion, as though they were a key to a door. Scattering shard of familiar yet alien sight appears intermediately beyond the shimmering veil. Hohenheim had already entered the portal as we stood there gawking, but we could still hear his voice echo through the laboratory.
I suppose I'll be forced to share my past here. The past I've never wanted to share. The past no one cares to learn about. It is something I must endure for the sake of this experiment, however.
I never exposed every little detail of it. It's all in the past now, isn't it? Lobotomy Corp? Lobotomy Corp? Are you related to Lobotomy Corp? Oh god, that's a long corridor though. Alright. Hohenheim's Fathom. Is that a slot machine? We're at the starting point of the dungeon of the Fathom. We found ourselves in a room that appears to be a workshop of ego gears. If you have scored below 100% synchronicity rate in the aptitude test, take only a single ego from here. An ominous warning sign greets us all, and the same words repeatedly ceasing from the speakers. The sinners all go to take a look, enticed by the sign, telling us that we can pick up ego gears here. But what we find there are ego gifts. What? These aren't ego gears! This is just gifts, right? It appears that ego are manifested here in the shape of gifts. Can't we just take them all then? This is a dungeon of the Fathom, as if different from the usual mirror dungeon. It is highly advised that its rules are followed. So what should we do? Okay. Take the flaming gauntlet. Rapture? Or the cleaning solution? I don't really have that many burn options. I mean, I do have, technically speaking, the fairy. And 3 different varieties of rapture, so maybe I should go for the rapture gear. Yeah, I'm gonna take the boots then, with the spikes. Was about to say maybe I should go for the cleanup spray, but no. Rapture might be the best course right now. This one seems best suited for the situation that we are in. We take the spiked combat boots ego gift. Ooh, pretty. Reminds me of a mixture between Don's shoes and Journey. That's gonna be nice. Alright then. Doesn't matter which path we take. We will always have a fight, followed up by an event, followed up by a abnormality, normal fight, and more events. Alright. That's fine, I guess. Let's go into the center for now. Hello! Never mind, I thought that was a fight right away. that Dawn? What is going on with them? Good. It appears that I can censor these with my own will, at least to a certain degree. Your mission here is to classify my distortion, reach the end of this dungeon of the Fathom, and bring me back. Your mission, however, does not involve digging into my past, alright? How do you still have control about that? You should have lost all sense of yourself. Alright then, and this is... It appears that we have a passing familiarity with this place. You, us. What is it that they're seeking to convey? Don't believe any level of proper communication will be feasible, given that you are in a dungeon of the Fathoms. Come on, don't interfere! We're trying to talk with her! Well, then do something about it! I regret to tell you that the setting of this dungeon is out of my hands. Had it been up to me, I would have manifested a place that is much more fascinating than this. Like the library, favoring to have every book in existence. But you can only do that if you were actually there, Hohenheim. And I'm pretty sure I would remember a guy like you. You used to work for the Lobotomy Corporation? One of my past careers. Yes. Us! Diplomacy did not seem to be an option here. The censored people brandished a weapon, threatening, and stood in our way. Looks like we're going to have to take them down if we want to make any progress here. I guess it can't be helped. Let's get ready for a fight. Alright. At the very least, we can already tell which type of ego they are. They're all done! They're all done! And there's no difference either. They all have the nom time to eat and everything that she has. Pretty sure the skill names are the same as... Well, that's not the same. But they are all just done. They are all just done. And technically speaking, relatively powerful as well. Especially at the current time with our lack of ego resources. But I know from my time in the regular mirror dungeon that those guys are not really that bad in comparison to certain other abnormalities that we can run into. Now everything is on the table. The angelfish is around here as well. And if the angelfish can appear, that also means that the giant prick, the stone pillar, is probably in the area as well. And let me tell you, I don't want to fight that guy without a full tremor team. Alright? Oh god, Ishmael's gonna lose. It's probably going to be fine though, right? Yeah, she's probably going to be fine. Actually speaking, now that I think about it, do we have a chance to heal up our sinners? Was there a shop at the end of this path? Kinda would need one, just saying. Because, let's just say Dawn is a little bit struggling here. She might actually die as well, if I'm not careful. And that's certainly making it really difficult for her. Yeah, she's losing. She's down to 1 HP. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it. What are you doing with my Dawn? How freaking dare you? This seems like such a waste. Okay, hit him where it hurts. You're gonna blow yourself up. I forgot about that. Oh, that doesn't make it better. That doesn't make it better. Oh, never mind. I guess they're a little bit tougher than I thought. In the mirror dungeon, they weren't so bad. Like at all. They weren't so bad. But that's very unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. Just out of curiosity, was there a shop at the end of this path? No, there wasn't. Oh no. Yeah, I might wanna give Dawn a little break then, huh? Yep. Might wanna give Dawn a little break. Maybe. We came across a group of researchers passionately poring over various documents next to a barrel of fire. They're having a debate about two subjects, emotion and flames. Regular flames don't seem to hurt abnormalities very much, so why does this work, I wonder? Perhaps a greater degree of wrathful emotions opens up the room for the fire's heat to touch the abnormalities and distortion, both entities of the unknown. They must have noticed us listening in to their conversation. One of them approached us with a glint in their eyes. "Oh, are you the samples who agreed to this experiment? If so, try this on." And the researcher's hand was what looks like an ignition plug, or a testing machine of sorts. What? I guess you have the wrong person. Maybe we just have to take the sample. It is a burn ego. Might be helpful. Or it could kill somebody. Kind of hard to say. Hey, Sinclair! You're usually lucky. Good job. Oh, what an interesting reaction. Decent synchronization as well. Maybe the researchers liked what they saw. After scribbling the observation in the various papers, the researcher let Sinclair go. Sinclair took off the gear and presented it before the researchers to return it, but they simply shook their heads in response. "The gear seems to fit you perfectly. Please take it with you." Alright. Re-ignition plug. And a recovery for the sinner. If else could have needed that one. And which type of plug is that? Base attack power increase, burn count dealt, 20% more damage and inflict one more burn. Yeah, that is certainly something that Faust would have loved. If she was still alive, that is. Right? If she was still alive. So how do we know this guy is actually distorted? He doesn't sound any different from his usual self. The sanity degradation due to the distortion affects every subject differently. I mean, yeah, but censoring his own Fathom? But Hohenheim, you're in the dungeon of the Fathom, right? We will see through it with Thunder's power, whether you want to show us or not. That's literally his thing. You make a fair assessment. How about this then? If you are to see them anyways, allow me to save you the trouble and give you a quick rundown instead. Come visit me as soon as you're finished watching my tale. This tale began when that man walked into my laboratory. Which man? Yes, I had a personal laboratory all to myself. One of the few perks of being an elite researcher. This guy's just gonna tell the story however he wants to, isn't he? Kinda. I'm Mr. Hohenheim. Let me think. I don't quite remember what he looks like. Something like this, perhaps. Wow, that's quite distorted. Whichever is the case, I was planning to censor his appearance anyways. I wanted to talk to you about something. Stop. Are you just here to express your displeasure with me? What now? If you are, do let me know from the get-go. I had a feeling it was about time it would happen. You know, 3 months. Not a bad record for working without any conflicts. Oh, and if this is about quitting, then you would find a much better audience among the human research team. No, wait, I mean, I'm just here to thank you for picking me, some dude from the back streets, to work here. I heard it was you who made the hiring decision, wasn't it? I don't know how to put this, but you're the only one who saw my... what's the word? Yeah, my potentiality. You solved something that no one cared to look into before. Know what I mean? But it had nothing to do with something so grandiose like his potential. A wing does not hire people from the back streets for something so insignificant. Well, this information has never been publicly available. Lobotomy Corporation's primary criteria were trauma. Candidates with horrible, insurmountable trauma were often favored by the company. And in an indirect way, it was only natural that they would begin to favor candidates who originated from the back streets. Your greetings acknowledged, Jimmy. Now feel free to leave my office. I ain't Jimmy. Anyways, I've been meaning to ask Mr. Hohenheim, why do you always enjoy being alone? It may come to a surprise to you, but I'm very adept at spending my time all on my own. It is one of the hundreds of distinguishable features that set me apart from ordinary man. So don't you need someone to be like, your loyal right-hand man? My right hand is doing just fine, thank you very much. Do you believe in potentialities, Hohenheim? What an unrelenting, stubborn employee he was, even in hindsight. Thanks to you, I do, and I've been thinking, if I keep at it, one day I might even find myself living in a large nest, changing my world little by little. Kinda like how a thing like me managed to snag a position here at Lobotomy Corporation. So I'm thinking here that I want to stick around in your circle. To bring about such drastic change to one's life is in the realms of feasibility for an exceptional researcher like myself, indeed, but you are, like most of the rebels, painfully average in most qualities, and therefore unlikely to become a moving force in charge. I have no faith in universal things like potentialities. I have faith in myself and myself alone. Besides, I'm not very particular to mathematical statistic like the probability theory anyways, so I would like to keep both my right and left hand as my own. Have a nice day, alright? Wanna know something about me? I'm the kind of guy who doesn't really think about things. Action before deliberation. You get me? Thoughtless and carefree. Possibly the only merits to be found in those who originate from the back streets. Or was that a tiny veiled threat of a physical assault? Oh, no, I'm talking about the new abnos that just got shipped here. It's a tricky one to manage. I tell you what, I will read your mind. Square up all kinds of strategy or whatever as long as it is based on hard logic. Good. Wanna shit for the Department of the Year award? With me? Together? You seem to be rather skilled in the art of transaction. One of the few merits being found in those who originates from the back streets. I will admit, I suppose I was overcome by a certain enigma back then. And in hindsight, it was foolish of me to engage in such an innate conversation. Oh no! You ate us? The remnants of my past comes to haunt us again. Perhaps it is I who they truly wish to hurt. But once again, we have to fix your problems. At this point of time, we're already used to it. Doesn't help the fact though that those guys are kind of dangerous to deal with. Aye. There we go. Good job. Nobody died this time. But my god, are they tanky. Extremely tanky. Right, Hohenheim? But what am I supposed to expect? They're all dons. All of them. Every single one of them. It's finally here. The Department of the Year rewards. Award, I mean. Indeed. I have finally done it. You? What about him? With some minor assistance from you, of course, and some other employees. Oh, come on, admit it! Don't you notice that a lot more employees are saying hello and good morning? And what have you to you in the hallways compared to when your reputation was a bit, It's all because I'm that good of a right man. I guess I will admit that your intuition and spontaneous eye was of some assistance when it came to identifying certain observation amongst abnormalities. This is the potential that I was talking about, man! The same thing that you saw in me when you decided to get me on board. Is that the reason why you picked Heathcliff? Because he also had that potential? Because he had a friend like that? Oh, I kind of thought he just picked him because of the muscles. Alright, apologies for ruining the moment, but the next few years quickly and busily flew by without much trouble. Of course, we picked up ourselves a few more Departments of the Year awards, some promotion, and some collaboration researchers. Yet all things must come to an end. The infamous fall of Lobotomy Corporation, for one. So I don't suppose you have any trouble hustling what they are all telling me, even as the words come out fragmented.
You left us!
Nothing but words of endless resentment.
You left us behind.
You did what? The fall of the former L-Corp. I remember what Missouri told us. The site crumbled in an instant, trapping the employees in there with the abnormalities. What is that sound? The whole structure is quaking. What the hell is this? Initiating site burial in 100 seconds. We didn't even give them a chance to evacuate. It was such a glorious moment. I didn't expect it to turn out like this for the others. Any remaining employees must immediately evacuate the structure without warnings in 100 seconds, even though we are thousands of meters underground. This is not possible. Counting down. 95. 94. The escape pods on the surface are here, but there's only one seat left. They're saying that the next one is in 5 minutes, and Listen closely. At the risk of sounding rather callous, I must inform you that the chances of survival in case of crisis such as this is usually granted only to a very small minority of those affected. Some who prioritize the fairness of the process may settle on primitive methods such as drawing lots to see who gets to escape like the first sight. And in more barbaric group, the survivors could be decided by none other than the rule of the might. However, I'm glad to find myself amongst those who are on the side of intelligence. So I make this argument, a suggestion before you. Compare yourself. Whose sole, final purpose in life is clinging to your mediocrity office shops and make good on your debt payments. And me, who has produced several groundbreaking apotheoses and research results at such an early age. Whose life in your eyes is of greater worth? Yes, and that is how the tale ends. The component collapsed 90 seconds later. I left the employees of my department behind and boarded the escape pod elevator to survive. How could you? Without even a hint of remorse! Wrath is a hideous emotion. I am here today only because I have always maintained a cold, rational head. The L-Corp branch within the Hohenheim's dungeon of the Fathom begins to crumble. It almost appears as though his heart was crumbling as well. Well, now that that's over with, I invite you to come to face me.
Distortion and experiment will come to an end.
But just finding and defeating his distortion in a fight, I don't think that will bring him back. I just know it. I agree. We are still in deep waters here. This can't possibly be all there is to it. We need to resolve the situation. How do we resolve the situation? What is the issue that is currently clinging his mind? Does he regret this decision? I mean, he did mention that he never saw the point of a power scale like that. Huh. Well, regardless, I guess we have to worry about that in the upcoming events, huh? And other events. Oh my god! You see the ferry lantern within the containment unit. A signed hue ferry flutters towards the very ancient branch of the tree and softly landed on one of them. the branch seeding the fairies' ways, as though to entice us to get closer to them. Bright and countless eyes gleam from the shadows beneath its roots. What a beautiful specimen, this fairy lantern. Have you finished your observation? We've been learning a lot about the abnormalities recently. There's still a lot of unknown, but still. Speaking of which, here's a pop quiz. What ego gift can you get from Fairy Lantern? Well, obviously the Midwinter Nightmare, right? That's an easy one. Right on the money. You know your Fairy Lantern. But that's not all. Recently, it's been giving out these things too. Take this with you. I'm just glad to have a run into a kindred soul. You received a bounded twig. It seemed to have come directly from the Fairy Lantern itself. That is not Midnight Summer, or rather Midwinter Nightmare. Do I not get the original one? I guess not. On kill with base attack, inflict rapture count. That is probably going to make his thing a little bit stronger. If he stays alive for that long, after all, there are 2 more fights upcoming. There we go. Not so bad. A lot better than the ship dawns. No conversation either? Alright then. I guess he's really waiting then. The Phantom of Hohenheim. One more gift, hopefully a cure. I would love to revive my Faust. Maybe. Several messy, frantic letters are carved into the wall with knives. I can particularly fear the sheer horror and desperation of their writers from the vile letters. Upon closer inspection, the deep marks tell a tale written in terror. They were swarming us, the monsters. I hear them. They're breathing. They're going to kill us all. Save me, please. Someone, anyone save me. I don't want to die, please. Fear is what drives men to madness. The monsters are near. I can feel the rumble of their feet. They're coming. Their unfinished sentence written on the walls. Death has carved deep marks between them. Ignore them and move on. Look around some more. We might find more hints. Maybe a way to actually save Hohenheim. If we can beat the gloom, which we can certainly attempt, at least. Well, yeah, Ryosho can handle that like a champ. Noticing something, Ryosho pointed to an area to the wall, or rather on the wall. There's a small crack between the countless scribbles of letters. I carefully reach my hand into the opening and... I can feel the tip of my finger brushing against the card. Someone must have hidden it in here. It might come in handy later. Card. Full recovery! Can you revive her as well? You didn't revive her though! Oh, come on! But that's nice! That's really nice, but come on, you should have revived her! During the encounter, when an ally retreats or is defeated, randomly apply free offensive level up between all identities during the next turn. 2 times per turn. When 3+ allies retreat or are defeated, randomly apply 6 offensive level up. This is just a boost. This is a constant boost. Maybe I should swap around that water, because Gregor, Hiseng, and Masold are probably going to die. Maybe I should do that. There you go. Sacrifice lambs, and everyone else is ready. Let's see if that works. Would be funny if it works. We arrived at the entrance of Hohenheim's laboratory.
This may be my final orders to you. Either suppress me and return safe and sound where you came from, or fail to suppression, place me in a containment unit, and perhaps we can observe what happens next.
That is when Heathcliff suddenly strode forward. Hohenheim, you still believe in that potential? I do. It is what keeps me going. You only hire researchers from the back streets, don't you? I heard from them earlier. They told me that you are a right pompous block, but thanks to you, they can continue to research and believe that there might be things in the world that is worth working towards. He had nothing to say. He refused to elaborate. Maybe he's shy. But my God! God, I hate this guy! I hated that guy during my mirror dungeon runs. His gimmicks are certainly funny though. So pretty much, I've already fought this guy a bunch of times. I'm just gonna explain it because he has a lot of passives. And most of those stuffs you don't really need to understand all of the things in order to beat this guy. But pretty much what you need to keep in mind is the fact that he collects poise and applies subject observation on all of my sinners. Subject observation has two different things that we need to keep in mind. It increases our damage, as well as allows him to reflect a certain potion from him towards us, which is a bit tricky occasionally, which is a bit tricky to handle, especially in a mirror dungeon when he goes full defensive and waits for us to slowly kill ourselves. I had that scenario before, I didn't do enough damage to break through, and I just slowly burnt my own sinners apart. You need to observe your observation level. Don't give them too many stacks, and if you get them, use them carefully. Alright? Second thing. He loves to give us tremor, rapture, and all the other ailments. Don't worry about those things. All you need to worry about is poise, because once he has enough poise, he goes for an all-out attack, which is certainly extremely annoying, even though I don't really see it right now. It's probably this one. It's really annoying, and the only way to lower the damage is by making sure that you pretty much hit him at least once during the time when he charges it up. But he only uses this after he receives a certain amount of poise count. So in that regard, as long as you continuously cancel out his shield ability with a different shield on your own, you can technically delay that effect for a couple of turns. It's impossible to completely delay it since he has multiple on-use effects around his skills, but you can certainly delay it a little bit, and that's all that you need to worry about. If you give him too many turns to build up his poise, he's becoming a real danger and an annoyance to beat through. The last time I fought him, he had so much health and so many shields that I barely managed to pull through. So please, for the love of God, guys, get him. Alright? Just get him.